What is going on, everybody? James Hancock here, back to review the Season 2 premiere of The Orville, a show I've been looking forward to for a very, very long time. For me, one of the most interesting pop culture events of 2017 was watching The Orville and Star Trek Discovery launch at basically the same time. While neither show was necessarily what diehard Star Trek fans wanted, it was really interesting to me to see which fans gravitated towards which show. And now that I've had about a year to digest both shows, I can safely say I definitely prefer The Orville. Star Trek Discovery to me is at best a mixed bag. It divided the fan base, and there was all this evidence of all this chaos behind the scenes about who was running the show, who was writing the episodes. And I don't know if there's a Star Trek fan alive anywhere that wants to see Alex Kurtzman in charge of anything. But with The Orville, I felt like it came really close to capturing the spirit of Star Trek The Next Generation. Obviously, the show is much lighter in tone due to Seth MacFarlane's brand of humor. But after the first few episodes, I suddenly found myself falling in love with the majority of the cast. I caught myself watching episodes for a second time, and I basically greeted each new episode with the world's biggest smile on my face. The Orville just seems so natural and fun, while Star Trek Discovery just seems to struggle with each episode over what the show is trying to be. So I'll take brief scenes with Lieutenant Dan and the elevator over all the Mirror Mirror episodes in Star Trek Discovery. But here we are, deja vu all over again. We're knocking at the door of 2019, and these two racehorses are about to compete yet again. It's basically a battle between Seth MacFarlane and Alex Kurtzman. And it's a battle where I hope the fans will be first and foremost the ones to benefit. Apart from tonight, the Orville's going to be sticking to a schedule of Thursday night, which just so happens to coincide precisely with the night Star Trek Discovery will be releasing new episodes on CBS All Access starting January 17th. So, game on. I think the next few months are going to be very interesting for Star Trek fans, but with that in mind, allow me to rant and rave about my first impressions of Season 2 of The Orville. So in my opinion, if this first episode is any indication of what we can expect from Season 2, Seth MacFarlane's managed to improve upon the formula that he introduced in the previous season. This show's an absolute love song to good old-fashioned episodic storytelling, where it's light and breezy. You can dip in and out of the show as you like. Whether you've seen all the episodes or none, you can definitely enjoy each and every episode. And maybe people are looking for a show that has a little bit more for them to sink their teeth into. But I just found myself having a blast from start to finish with this episode because basically it was a screwball comedy about people looking for love and romance in this small enclosed environment where everybody works together, and inevitably people are going to step on each other's toes. I've been hearing rumors that we're going to see a lot less of Alara Katan this season. Thankfully, that was not the case, at least in this episode, because I have the world's biggest crush on her. She's probably my favorite character in the show. But I thought the cast was absolutely on fire this episode. I know a lot of people get really annoyed by Seth MacFarlane, both as a person and his writing style, but I think his talents as a storyteller are absolutely perfect for The Orville. I think he's doing some of the best work of his career. And I love how he's able to take something as simple as Bortus needing to celebrate his once-a-year urination release and use it as a springboard for all kinds of romantic entanglements. Because there were no battles this episode, not a laser was fired, there was not a single sign of the krill, but the characters are so well written and so well defined that I'm happy to sit back and go wherever Seth MacFarlane takes us. But I do want to call attention to a few highlights. First and foremost, the name of the episode, Geloja, which stands for the Great Release. It's the perfect hub of a wheel to kind of bring all the different storylines together, because you can't go to the Geloja after party unless you have a date, because it'll be bad luck for Bortus. So everybody's scrambling to find a date before the big event. And of course the big drama is the fact that Ed has learned that Kelly is now dating a school teacher named Cassius, and Ed is still absolutely smitten with Kelly, but Kelly's standing firm that a captain and his first officer should not be involved. We get a new character with the last name of Tyler, who's a dark matter cartographer. She's very easy on the eyes, and Malloy is immediately smitten with her. So of course he goes to his best friend Lamar for relationship advice and style advice, basically just trying to up his game. I still maintain that Malloy and Lamar are the best part of the show. Their chemistry is absolutely first rate. And my one criticism of Season 1 was when Lamar got promoted to work down in engineering, because I love seeing Malloy and Lamar sitting side by side on the bridge. And I love how the show continues to place huge emphasis on pop music. Obviously Seth MacFarlane is a musical junkie, but this episode uses the song As Time Goes By, I think on 3 or 4 separate occasions, which of course is played extensively throughout Casablanca, one of my all-time favorite movies. But what really caught me off guard was how invested I became when Claire's son Marcus starts getting in trouble at school, and she gets summoned into a parent-teacher conference to decide who's to blame for both boys misbehaving as of late, stealing vodka, etc. And seeing Isaac kind of step into the role of surrogate father and doing such a good job defending Marcus that Claire ends up asking out Isaac on a date as well. But the absolute masterstroke of this episode is beefing up the role of Dan. Everybody was just calling him the elevator guy in Season 1. The actor who plays him, Mike Henry, is one of Seth MacFarlane's most frequent collaborators. He plays Cleveland Brown on Family Guy and The Cleveland Show. But some of the funny scenes of the episode are when Bortus basically orders him to go on a date with Alara Katan. In his own fashion, Bortus is trying to find a suitable mate for Alara. But Dan is awkward, he's nervous, he's written this ridiculous poem. The moment Alara walks out of the room, he starts sending her texts in the most desperate and clingy fashion imaginable. But hopefully we'll be seeing a hell of a lot more of Dan in Season 2. And I love how they didn't feel the need to end this episode on some giant cliffhanger or some giant climax. You basically have a very quiet scene at a bar, everybody hanging out. The new officer, Tyler, very casually and discreetly has a drink with Ed at the bar. And it just proved that if you have great characters and great actors and great writing, all we really want is to spend time in their company. And in its own way, it somehow has perfectly managed to channel the spirit of some of the best episodes of Star Trek the original series, as well as Star Trek The Next Generation. If I were to create my ideal Star Trek show out of thin air, it would not be the Orville. However, until a truly great Star Trek show does manage to emerge, the Orville will absolutely suffice as a placeholder for the time being. So I'm really looking forward to watching the rest of Season 2. I think it's going to be an absolute blast. If you want to talk more about the Orville or Star Trek Discovery or classic Star Trek or whatever, you can always find me on Twitter at Colbrex. That's the best place to reach me. But if you enjoyed this reaction or review, I would greatly appreciate it if you'd consider subscribing to my channel. And lucky for us, it's only a few short days until the next episode of the Orville on Thursday night. So I hope y'all enjoyed the episode as much as I did. I'll definitely be doing some recaps and reviews of different episodes throughout the season. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how Season 2 of Star Trek Discovery and Season 2 of The Orville measure up against one another when both seasons have drawn to a close. I feel like a little friendly competition between writers is always a healthy thing. In any event, I think I'm going to wrap this review up. Can't thank anyone for watching. I really appreciate it. But until next time, as always, onwards and upwards.